A canyon filled with natural beauty and awe can lure anybody or anything into its grandeur and peace. If you're a good spirit or person, then wonderful. Come join in the splendor of nature and hiking trails that run along a beautiful ocean where you can glimpse dolphins and migrating whales. But when the energy of such a place draws in things that are dark and scary, it changes everything.
Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope everyone's doing good, and I hope everyone's getting ready for another night filled with tales of terror. Tonight's video is all about a beautiful canyon near my home. Well, the story's really not so much about the canyon, but about the different events that have taken place around this canyon. Now, like in all my other videos, you may find yourself questioning whether what you're hearing is true or not true, and here's where I ask that you just hang on till the end of the video so that we can all find out together. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. But before we do, please click the like and subscribe buttons. That way it lets YouTube know to continue to put out content just like this for you. Now, get comfortable, turn down the lights, and let's begin.
We've lived in this area for over 2 decades, and during this time we have experienced a few strange occurrences that I'm going to share with you. Most of what we've experienced takes place outdoors, in particular, inside the canyon. The canyon that I speak of is a thing of beauty, with its vast hiking trails, some which will lead you down into the ocean for a splash in the cool water, or to check out the tide pools. There's a tree with a swing on it for everyone's use, and an ocean view that will take your breath away. It draws people to it from near and far every day. But there is more to this canyon than its beauty. Like I said, it draws people to it. Some come to check out the trails and vegetation out of curiosity, but then they come back over and over, traveling the distance to get there and just be. I should also mention those that have made the trip back to this canyon from beyond the grave. Yes, you've heard me right. We've come across those folks too. And here's what happened. We recently adopted a shelter dog. She was young, sweet, and athletic, so the canyon was the perfect place for a dog like her. We named her Libby. So it was an early morning during the middle of the week that we had taken Libby out for a good long walk inside the canyon. The sky was a vibrant blue and the ocean was pristine and sparkling with the sun's reflection. There were no hikers or joggers around, so we basically had the place to ourselves. We strolled along while Libby trotted around in front of us, but then suddenly she let out a bark and started running ahead of us. We looked ahead to where she was running, and to our confusion, we saw an elderly man standing in front of us. Libby ran up to him and jumped around in excitement. We called her to come back, but she ignored us. We apologized to the man standing there. He said nothing. He just stood there, looking at us, but not looking at us, if you can understand that. But then after a moment or two, he just turned around and began to walk away. Libby, on the other hand, elated just to be around this man, pranced around him, jumping with her tongue hanging out of her mouth and her tail wagging. It was the strangest thing to see. So, growing a little angry and a lot embarrassed by our dog's complete disregard for us, we started after her, but then we stopped because she stopped. And she stopped because right in front of us, with a blink of an eye, the man vanished. He was gone. We looked everywhere for him, but there was no sign of him. Now, as beautiful as this place is, and as light-hearted as that story may seem, I have to say there is a darkness that has crept in as well. Some time had passed, and walking our dog in the canyon became a daily routine for us. We began to joke with each other about how this place was becoming like our own backyard. We loved it. One day we were walking the upper trails with Libby, and we both caught a chill. Now, it wasn't the kind of chill you feel when the weather cools off. No, this was more of a something bad is lurking and we can sense it kind of chill. It was weird. What was more weird was Libby. She just stopped dead in her tracks and began to growl. We looked at her and could see that her hackles were up. Whatever we were sensing, she sensed it too. It was about 1 p.m, broad daylight. There should not have been a reason to become so frightened, especially in a place we began to visit daily. So we decided push forward because we couldn't see or hear anything, and maybe it was just our imaginations feeding off one another. We had less than a mile to go to get us back up to the sidewalk leading to our home. But Libby continued to growl as we walked, her focus on something ahead of us. Then we heard it. There was a loud buzzing sound that seemed to fill the air. You know, like in a movie where all you hear is that special effects sound? It was like that. Next, we smelled it. Libby ran forward, then stopped. She barked and barked at something we couldn't see. We hurried to get to her as she stood there barking, standing her ground. That smell got worse the closer we got to our dog. It was putrid, like a spoiled meat kind of smell. We covered our noses with our shirts as we got closer to our dog, then we saw it. It was horrible. There were the remains of what looked to be some sort of sacrificial ritual involving animals. It was horrific and heartbreaking. And the buzzing sound we heard? Flies. There were flies everywhere. It didn't make sense. This was a place of beauty and peace. We called the police and reported what we had come across. To this day, we don't know what came of it. That incident became a thing of the past. It didn't stop us from continuing our daily hikes in the canyon, especially since we had brought another rescue into our lives with even more energy than Libby. And then this happened. My husband was working late one evening, so I took Libby and our newest member of the family, Sarge, into the canyon on my own. Watching the sunset in the canyon had become a thing for us. You could catch a beautiful scene of the sun setting over the ocean, and we came to love our sunset walks. It was a nice way to end the day. On this particular evening, the sun had set, and it wasn't really dark yet as I walked back to our home with the dogs. But it was quiet, which is normal for where I live. So, on the sidewalk now, my dogs and I start walking towards my home when we hear like this dragging, scraping sound. I looked around and saw nothing. So I continued towards home, and that's when I saw it. I blinked my eyes because I knew they must be playing tricks on me. What I was seeing could not be true, but there it was, walking straight towards me just feet from my home. It had no face. Its arms and legs were stiff as boards, not bending at all as it walked. That's what was making the dragging sound. And with only a head of straw. If I had to give it a name, I would say it was a scarecrow. At first I thought it was someone in costume, but in the middle of July, it didn't make sense. I stood there unable to move, consumed with waves of fear and disbelief. But then Libby and Sarge's hackles went up immediately as they began to growl. If this thing had any eyes, I know it had to see us standing in its path, but it just kept coming, shuffling along with those stiff, straight legs and all of that straw for a head. Okay, I was terrified. It wouldn't stop. It was getting closer by the second. Within moments, it was now at an arm's length away, so I got my bearings, and with my dog's leashes in hand, I quickly pulled them to the other side of the road so I would avoid any contact with this thing that was heading for the canyon. But it stopped directly across from me and stood there stiff and frozen. My heart was pounding in my chest. My arms and legs felt like noodles, and my body was trembling. I was so scared. Suddenly, it began to move again and went into the canyon. I, on the other hand, raced home with my dogs. I think that was the last time I went out for a Sunset Canyon walk alone ever again. A couple summers passed when our daughter Susan and her best friend Teresa came in from out of town to stay for a few days. One evening, the girls went to meet up with some old friends, play some music, and just hang out. As it got late, Susan decided that she would stay overnight with the friends, and Teresa decided she wanted to come back to our home for the night. My husband and I were already in bed when Teresa got back. Funny though, I remember hearing Teresa call for Sarge to come sleep in her room with her. I recall the nervous tone in her voice too. That morning, while I was fixing breakfast, Teresa sat at the kitchen counter drinking coffee. I could tell something was on her mind, but I wasn't gonna pry. I figured maybe she and Susan had a falling out or something. Boy, was I wrong. After some time contemplating into her coffee, she asked me if anything strange ever happened around here. I wasn't sure how to answer, so I asked what she meant. Here's what she said. When she got back to our place, she was getting out of the car and said she glimpsed a figure of someone at the end of the road. She said the more she looked at it, she realized it didn't have a face, only a head made of straw. She thought she could run and reach our home before it got anywhere close to her, but as she began to run to our door, it began to move faster towards her. She asked me, "Do you know how in the movies when the girl is running from the monster, she always drops her keys?" I nodded, "Yeah, sure." She said, "That really happens." She said she had dropped her keys while running to our front door, so she went back to grab them. When she turned back around, she said she could clearly see now that it was a faceless scarecrow. She gasped with fear, and when she did, it leapt into a row of bushes. She didn't know what to do. Scared out of her mind, she forgot she was even holding her cell phone. She looked around. She realized she was near the fence to our home, and not wanting to get any closer to that thing and avoid having to run past whatever it was, she decided to climb our fence and come through the back door. When she got inside, she was so scared, she needed Sarge to stay in the room with her that night. You should know that Sarge was a large athletic dog with an intimidating look, so that must have given her some comfort throughout the night. After she finished telling me about what happened, she could see by the look on my face that something was bugging me. So I shared my experience with her. In a way, she validated my experience. I knew what I had seen was impossible, but it was real, and over a year later, she saw it too. Since then, there have been others that have reported strange experiences. And maybe the canyon is a victim in its own right. I mean, maybe the energy could not be controlled, making everyone and everything susceptible to its draw. I can say that the canyon remains beautiful, and to this day, people still hike and jog its trails, sometimes alone and sometimes with others. But the canyon continues to thrive.
Well, what'd you think of this story I just shared with you? I know that there are places all over this world that have their own tales of terror to be told. This one just turns out to be pretty close to me. I do want to make it clear, though, that this canyon, in all of its wildlife, is still a thing of beauty. And people do continue to hike and stroll along the beautiful trails inside this canyon. It just, unfortunately, had some strange occurrences take place over time. So if you're questioning what you heard tonight is true or not true, I have to tell you that yes, what you heard is true. However, some parts may have been embellished just a little bit. Okay, so it's time to say goodnight, but before we go, please click the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't done so already, and prepare for more tales of terror delivered to you weekly at 3 a.m. So until next time, stay safe and stay scary.